All right, do not check your calendars. It is not Monday morning at 7. It, in fact, is Thursday morning at 8, which means a special edition of the SHOPO Hour. I'd like to welcome in the fellas because Bobby, Steve, and Mark are here. Bobby Cavaco, president of SHOPO. Steve Keogh, president in waiting. I don't know, is it? No. Vice president. Vice president. And Mark Cruccio, the most handsome man at the table.
Yeah, well, sometimes.
You know, well, today anyway.
Yeah, depends on where I've been.
Oh,
you know.
See, I see where this is going already. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for taking the time. There's a lot on the agenda. We're standing by for friends to talk to us from the island of Kauai, because that's going to be the focus of the first portion of our hour today. And Bobby, please set the table for us. The questionnaire, the survey that has been sent to your members on Kauai.
Yeah, so Chief Raybuck, it's been the Kauai police chief for about 3.5 years. We decided to do a survey kind of very similar to what we did on Maui, as far as the department, how it's being run, the direction it's going in, communication, as well as a snippet on the chief himself and some performance measures. So the survey was done in August, middle of August. On Kauai, there's 136 officers, I believe, from lieutenant and below that are SHOPO members. So we had an 80% participation. 113 officers completed the survey. And the results were published on Tuesday and Wednesday on the Garden Isle. We invited city council members. We invited the police commission. The mayor was out of town, but he's going to get briefed. And we also sat down with the chief and gave him the results. The results are not good. Some of it is very concerning, and we as a union are listening to our members over there on Kauai, and we're going to do our part in trying to improve their working conditions with the department, and hopefully the chief will sit down and try and fix it.
I want to turn to Steve for your thoughts before we connect with our friends on Kauai. Steve.
No, just now we have kind of a tangible document that shows where the department is at. This document was put together to see where there was opportunities for improvement, and as Bobby alluded to, there's several areas for opportunity. We felt that it was time that community leaders, police administrators, were able to see exactly where our members were coming from. And we're going to have Kenny and Bobby T joining us from Kauai, and they'll be able to expound on a little bit further.
Brother Mark, what are your thoughts about surveys when the rank and file, if you will, are provided with the opportunity to give their feedback?
Well, it could be used as a positive tool. And let's face it, even if it's I'm not too familiar with this survey because I've been out of town and flopping all over the place. I'm surprised I'm here. But anyway, whether it be, let's say the first survey came out bad, use it in a positive way, right? I know Chief Ballard did a survey when I was over there, and the survey came out good. But you're not only looking at the good; you want to look at the bad, right? Where can you improve, and what are the positives about the department, and can you improve better with it? So use it as a positive tool. Don't look at it as a bad thing.
I want to say that very thorough, very precise. And as I went through the questions, there's a premise in regard to polling information that you can extract the response you want on the basis of the question that is asked. I reviewed the questions. Thank you for providing it. I don't sense anything of a predisposition. They're very forthright, just very clear, that elicits a response from members, Bobby.
Absolutely. Our consultants that we have on our team have done surveys like this over 20 years, so they have a vast experience in doing these kind of things, which are as fair as objective as you can make it.
Now we're going to let me get traffic out of the way. We're going to invite our friends. We'll join them in a moment. But again, this is special edition of the SHOPO Hour, and I'm delighted that the fellas are in studio with us. Of course, with Bobby, Steve, and Mark, and we'll be back in a moment. All right, we're clear to the bottom of the hour and want to welcome you back at 8:15 News Radio 830 KHH. Rick Amato with you, SHOPO Hour special edition today. Brother Bobby, would you do the honors and the pleasure of introductions, please?
Yeah, Bobby Cavaco, president of Showpo, 22 years in the police department, lieutenant in the traffic division.
Brother Steve?
Sure. Steve Keogh, SHOPO vice president, been with Honolulu PD 16 years, currently a patrol sergeant in urban Honolulu.
And Brother Mark?
Good morning, everyone. Mark Riccio, retired major, Honolulu Police Department, 31 and a half years of service. My last command was Waikiki.
Bobby, would you do us a favor and introduce the gentlemen that are being part of the program today?
Yes, so great. We have two of our Showpo leadership members here that are going to talk about the survey. We have Kenneth Nagahisa, who's our Kauai chapter chair, and his vice chair, Bobby Thompson.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for your patience and also want to thank you for joining the program. We wish you aloha and good morning.
Good morning, Mark, Steve, Bobby, and Rick. I'm Ken Nagahisa, Kauai chapter chair. I'm a lieutenant with the Kauai Police Department, 22 years. I am assigned to the Investigative Services Bureau, which basically I oversee property detectives. Bobby?
Morning, Bobby Thompson. I'm the vice chair for Showpo Kauai. I'm a sergeant with the Kauai Police Department. Been here approximately 10 years. In charge of the detention facility, our field training program, and our FAST team, or Fugitive Apprehension Support Team.
Well, we appreciate it, gentlemen, and thank you so very much for taking the time. I think just to get to the heart of the topic today and the survey that was distributed and the responses have been received, and we've been reviewing just at the very basics the replies. However, gentlemen, from a layman's position, it seems that the responses from the membership on Kauai with the KPD, less than stellar, and I think I'm being a bit generous.
Yes, Rick. For myself, I wasn't surprised at it. It just confirmed a lot of what I've been seeing in the department. And, it's serious, and it's going to take a lot of work. We've identified some issues. The biggest is morale, as you've seen. Retention is another big one. And hopefully we can work together with the chief and other, community stakeholders to resolve these issues. And we're open to, helping in any way we can as a union to get this done. For me, I have, like I said, 22 years with the department. It's in the 22 years I've been here, serving under different administrations. It's very sad for me personally, seeing what is going on, and that's why I got involved with the union and became active in the union in 2020. And I think it was time that we recognized and faces these issues, and I appreciate the state board support with conducting the survey, and like you've seen, over 80% response is like unheard of. That in itself says a lot. We have 136 members here on Kauai, 113 participated, and that's like unheard of. So I appreciate everyone's support. All the members who participated, they're looking at us now to not just, identify the stuff, but to really get down and work on issues. So thanks for having us, Rick, this morning. And I'll turn it over to my Vice Chair, Bobby Thompson, to comment.
Good morning, gentlemen. Morning, Rick. Well, for me, I've been with the department for almost 10 years. I started later. This is my home. This is where I live. This is where my family is. All our families are here. I take pride in my job, and like I've said before, no matter what the morale is or where the department is going, I can always give my 110%. And luckily for this beautiful island and this county, majority of our officers are the same way. No matter what's going on in the department, we will still do our best to service our community, make sure we're safe. We got, like was said already, 80+% responding. That shows you how much the employees and the members care about this department and what's going on. So hopefully it rings a bell to the stakeholders and lets them know we mean business. We want to make this right. I've said before, we reached our hand out. SHOPO's reached their hand out, both Kauai chapter and the state board. The hand is out there. Is it going to be reached for and sought and used? It's in their hands. We want to make this better. We want this to be the place where everybody wants to work. And hopefully that's where we go. We love our members. We appreciate them. We thank them for taking part in the survey. And just ask for their trust and patience and let us do our work now and see what we can do in the near and far future to resolve these issues.
Thank you very much for that, Bobby. Kenny as well. I'll turn it back over to Bobby, Steve, and Mark in a moment. But while reviewing replies from your members, Kenny and Bobby, two issues were repetitive: morale and leadership. They were inextricably connected. Could you share perhaps an example or what these replies mean to you and what the members want to communicate about morale and leadership?
Rick, morale, in any other organization or profession, has a profound effect on your, not just, your performance at work, but your quality of life, right? The better you feel at work, the better you do your job, the better your home life, and you just feel valued, right? And you feel that you're important to the organization. And with a small department like ours, that's key. Kauai's culture, is deep-rooted where everybody knows everybody, right? Especially police officers, and we have a hard enough time already, with the national narrative with cops, right? Kauai, we love our cops. We engage with our community every day, and the morale issue can be attributed to a lot of different things. Leadership is one of them, right? It was big. In the survey, we found out the leadership and communication up and down our ranks, transparency, communication, not just from top to bottom, but also being heard as a line officer, right? Having their opinions valued, things of that nature gotta improve. Recruiting is a tough situation across the country, so we gotta look at retention, right? It takes 1.5 to 2 years to get a recruit from recruitment to on the road. When you lose an officer that can retire at 25 years, that's big. And we've seen a lot of officers leaving as soon as they can, right, with age and years of service. We're not seeing like other departments, officers staying the full 32 years. So there's an issue right there. And like I said, I have a vested interest in the department, and we have to do something to turn it around. Leadership. I know it's not just all on leadership's shoulders, and I know part of this is police commission, right? The police commission is very disappointing and disrespectful that they didn't want to come and see our presentation. We understand that there are sunshine laws that may prohibit all of them from attending, but we invited every commissioner individually, and we got no response basically. So it's disheartening, and we got as a union we got to call them on it, and I think really take a hard look at the leadership that we have in our department now, and what are the reasons why we're failing and people are leaving, right? So the survey, the proof is in the pudding, right? The survey, and man, it's loud and clear, right? And I know I get a little emotional when I talk about this, but it's because this is my department, right? That's how I view it.
Understand.
This is our department.
Amen.
We don't have officers that can leave the department and go work for a different department, right? We're the only show in town, and it means a lot to all of us, as officers and members of this community. So I think, the survey says a lot. We got to work on it, and, I just look forward to seeing some changes.
Kenny and Bobby, I can't thank you enough. Hold on tight, though, because I want to turn it over to Bobby, Steve, and Mark. Gentlemen, heartfelt communique from both of our friends on Kauai.
Absolutely, and that's why we want to do every which way we can to help them out on Kauai, and that's what we alluded to Chief Raybuck the other day on Tuesday, that in order to fix these issues, use the union as a resource to find out what exactly members are concerned about, and one of those is allocation of resources. There's different units in the department there that are just stretched so thin that they're not able to really provide a good service to the community. One of those would be the Investigative Services Bureau, the Traffic Division. They have one acting sergeant and one officer. Wow. The officer's overworked. You can't have one officer working in traffic, investigating felony type hit and runs and fatalities for a whole island. So that, and then other detectives in the Investigative Bureau that are just overwhelmed with cases to where they may not be doing quality investigations. Just to get through their investigations, it's a task. And then there's other issues that were pointed out in the survey that our members are just, seriously concerned and the change. So we told the chief, we're there to work with you. Let's fix this, and only time will tell whether or not it will.
Steve, if you were privy to the reply from the chief, Chief Raybuck, when you shared the information and the concerns that were expressed.
Sure. So let's start out with a positive. Chief Raybuck did take the opportunity to meet with us in person. We were able to explain. We were able to give him the presentation. He's actually the first individual we showed it to. We wanted to give him that respect as chief of police, and we give him credit for showing up and taking a look at it. With that being said, Showpo wants to encourage Chief Raybuck to look at this information and then act upon it, and be open-minded enough that maybe he has a perception that this is not what his officers are thinking and feeling. But clearly, Rick, 80% of the members participated. Mm-hmm. I know it's hard on a radio show to actually convey what the survey said. I don't know if we have a couple percentages there, but there's a communication problem. There's a morale problem. Why is that relevant to the public? That's relevant to the public because the men and women that put the uniform on for Kauai PD, they want to do their best to serve the community. We're not trying to be self-serving here. This isn't just about our members. This is about how our members can better serve the community on Kauai. That's why this is so important, because there's areas of opportunity in the survey. We want also to the police leadership on Kauai to take accountability, to take the steps to engage with union leadership that's there. Let's attend the meetings together. Let's do things together. And we cannot be remiss. Kauai Police Commission, shame on you. You snubbed us. You oversee the chief. You hire, you discipline, you give feedback, and the arrogance of that board, hiding behind the Sunshine Law, to not come and even be willing to see the presentation. They could have come individually. Basically, Rick, to keep it simple for your listeners, they hid behind the Sunshine Law. They didn't come. The commissioners, we felt, did not do their job. They could have come individually. We're willing to work with them. I think Kenny and Bobby T are going to have an opportunity to speak to them. This is important. It's not just the chief and Showpo and Kauai leadership. It's the chief, it's the police commission, it's the mayor, it's community leaders. It's everybody coming together to fix a situation that affects police service to the individuals in the community on Kauai. That's why this survey is so important. And there's multiple stakeholders, Rick, that we're hoping come to the table. It's not just Chief Raybach. It's the police commission. Actually, they're probably the number one body that needs to see this, absorb it, and process it, because they're the only people that can actually give direction to the chief, or at least ask him in an official capacity, what are you doing to address these concerns of the officers that are under your leadership?
Your thoughts of what you've heard so far, Mark?
Yeah, so, I mean, basically to me, the chief needs to reach out to the union as well as the rank and file with this survey, Let's face it, Kauai is a small department. I think it's about the size of District 7 over here, right? So it'd be easy for him to hit the rank and file and say, hey, what are your concerns? What can we improve on, right? He could get around and do that. And let's face it, part of the chief's job is to work with the union, right? And improve working conditions. So, like I said, take it as a positive. Don't take it as a negative. Oh, they're coming after me with a survey. Improve.
I want to go back to our friends on Kauai for just a moment. Gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time, for sharing and representing your members so stridently. So both Kenny and Bobby, final thoughts. We have a few minutes. What would you like to convey to our friends here on Oahu?
This is Bobby here. We love our island. We love our police force. We took this job for a reason. We want to continue to do this job. I got two quotes. Actions speak louder than words. That has stuck with me from growing up in Palolo housing to moving here. I'm a God-fearing man. And I'm saying actions speak louder than words. Let's see the action, number one. And number two, lead by example. We were given all these books to read in regards to supervision and all that. Majority of that comes out to lead by example. Go out, see your man, talk to him like you guys have all been saying. Let's do it. Let's work together. Let's resolve these issues. It's my island. It's the chief's island. It's the commissioner's island, the county council members, the mayor. It's our island. Let's fix these issues. We're not going to all agree, but we do need to come to some kind of consensus and work on these issues and not just let it sit. I love this island. I love this department. I love my union. We have an awesome chairperson here, Bobby, Steve. We appreciate you guys' leadership and your assistance and being there for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
hey, Rick. Rick, I just want to, real quick, I just want to say that, the big picture is that we need to improve. And like Bobby said, we all joined this department to serve the community. And that's the utmost importance is public safety. And, we take it all personally here. Like Mark said, we're a small department. And, that's the number one in every police officer's heart here. Public safety. We want to be able to serve our community as best we can. We do appreciate the chief coming to the table and, recognizing these issues. And we can move forward with that. We can work with that. So just to close, I'd like to say thank you to President Bobby Cavaco, VP Steve Keogh, and even you, Rick, and then even Mark, giving a perspective of a retired HPD, captain. So I appreciate you guys. I listen to your show every week, and I just want to say God bless everybody, and let's look to improve, and I'll see you next week. I mean, hopefully I can make it on the show, Rick, one day. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so very much, Kenny and Bobby, chapter president, vice president, respectively, of the Kauai Police Department. Thank you so very much. We're at 8:35 in the morning. The boys in studio will return, and we'll be back after we take care of much needed business and information. Stand by, though. More to come. It's 8:35. Everybody, welcome back. Again, many thanks to both Kenny and Bobby on the great island of Kauai for joining us and giving us insight into the efforts of SHOPO to elicit members' viewpoints, experiences, positions, and status within the Kauai Police Department, and other neighbor island departments are coming soon. Yes.
Yeah. So we were thinking of doing a survey possibly on the Big Island because they're in a transition right now with getting a new police chief. So actually now would be a great time to do it because that way whoever is selected as a new chief on the Big Island will at least get results on what kind of condition the department is in and how it's being run and can do that. And then of course with Honolulu, we probably look at doing one further down the line once Chief Joe has got his feet settled and the direction that he wants to push Honolulu in. So that way Chief Joe will have a baseline of where the department is at and our members.
Awesome. Excellent. I want to turn over to some headlines and news of the day. The recent Supreme Court decision, that of course in the Obrega case, and it is of myriad topics of discussion. But at the end of the day, there's many that are calling for a special session. There's been replies from the House that yes, there are numbers to do so, 2/3. There has not been an urging from Governor Ige to call a session. And Senate President Ron Kochi is saying we need to have a bill submitted before we'll commit to a special session. There's one scheduled tentatively, from my understanding, for October 17th, which would accommodate the confirmation of 3 appointed, 3 nominated, and to be confirmed judges, First Circuit and District. Okay, so that's the basics. The bottom line, the Obrega case, now calls into question being able to retain individuals that have gone through the court process, found guilty of up to felony crimes that could be released, citing the technicality contained within the Supreme Court decision. Gentlemen, you were so vociferous when it came to House Bill 1567. And your take on this story, and has there been any public connection, communication with those in positions that could make this happen?
Well, we, as a union, we've submitted letters to both Senate President Kochi and Speaker of the House, Scott Saiki, urging them to convene a legislative session and to fix the issue at hand. And we're hoping that they're going to do so. I think Senate President Kochi is right. Put the bill out and to see what it is on the table before, calling everybody to the square building and then, having nothing on there. But I think the urgency needs to be there to fix this. It has to be done. It's at a critical point where we can't just have the process of a grand jury to solve this issue. Spoken to Prosecutor Walchin on the Big Island, Prosecutor Steve every prosecutor statewide is on board with this to try and fix it. So,
all right, Mark.
What can I tell you? Typical Hawaii, right? I mean, ever since this show, and even prior to that, what I've been telling you, judges, they're part of the problem. All right, look what this Supreme Court did, right? They're part of this problem now. The judges need to get on board and support victims. I mean, forget about supporting these guys that are breaking the laws and are menace to society, right? These judges got to get on board, right? That's all I got to tell you. It's ridiculous what they're doing out there.
So I understand that it's frustrating to see, but this was a legal action. I think what happened is that the attorney for Obrega probably invoked, and it had never been over the 3+ decades that had been policy, and they came to a conclusion about the process, but it can be quickly reversed. Mm-hmm. My fear is that there'll be dawdling, and the swiftness is important because the process of release is already underway. And I shudder that we could have on Oahu over 160 of these cases, individuals, statewide, upwards of 400, that at the end of the day just come right on out. And that to me is intolerable.
You know, yeah, Rick. And these are serious felony cases, right?
No,
multiple. I was reading multiple. You have offenders, right? Multiple counts of kidnapping, murder, second felonies that are violent felonies.
Right.
You know, you can't fault the defense attorneys for providing a vigorous defense, but you ask yourself, how were they allowed to take that? How are they allowed to invoke that? Like, how is there not? I don't want to call it a safety measure, but how did we get to that point that nobody thought that, hey, if a defense attorney happens to take a vigorous defense this way, we need to be able to counter that, right? And then I would think that the prosecutors' offices probably need to come together and strategize again to how they can combat a defense. And, you know, if these individuals get let back out into the community just on percentages alone, there was several hundred, right? Or there was quite a bit, right? You're telling me that 5% or 10%, let's say it's 10% of 140. Well, that's 14 individuals. You're telling me that if 140 guys get out, individuals get out that have done everything from violent assault to robbery to multiple counts of kidnapping, that there's a certain percentage of those individuals, when they get out, it's going to be like, hey, game on. It's like a version of the Purge. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to scare. I mean,
guaranteed
what's going to happen
guaranteed.
here? How does this work?
Yeah.
All we have to do is take a look at COVID.
Exactly. I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, 1/3 reoffended.
What is that?
1/3.
Yes, 1/3. Yeah. But this COVID junk that they let them out of, 1/3 reoffended.
This is one of those things, Rick, where you point out where government, quote unquote, cannot drag their feet. There needs to be cooperation. There needs to be planning. And like I said, hey, to your point, this can't, get mucked down in bureaucracy, because there could be serious consequences for delay.
There's one sidebar question that I'd like to ask, is that clearly there is support for this. There is support for this. There's no unanimity in saying we cannot release violent offenders into the community. So I'm searching for who has not the smoking gun, but who are the entities, individuals within the big square building that are resistant and not demonstrating a unanimous sense of urgency. Bobby?
Well, I think that was concerning to see that there was some finger pointing in this whole process when this decision came out. The bottom line is the Supreme Court made a decision, which in effect is, it is what it is, because they have the authority to do that. And the stakeholders are involved, as far as the legislator, the governor. We all need to come together and fix it.
I hasten to say there's some sort of task force, there's some sort of committee, there's some that does have an agendized, because we've seen it, smelled it, heard it about bail. And I think this is an extension of that. Mm-hmm. Mark, final thought before we get to the break.
No, real quick. So, like Bobby says, Supreme Court came out with a decision. That's it. It's got to be done, right? That's that big square building's job, is to fix it.
Yeah.
Just like it's their job to build a new prison. Same thing. They are not doing their job. People vote differently.
There we go. Dialed in together. All right, the fellas are in studio. Special edition of the SHOPO Hour. Stand by. There's definitely more after this. We are headed in the home stretch, and I cannot thank the boys enough for taking the time on a Thursday, which is now my first favorite day of the week, now that the fellas are in studio with us. I know we have just about a few minutes remaining. Had a lot of issues that were percolating, but I would like to ask HPD officers, see increase in weapons, in law violations, especially in robberies. And Kalihi District is saying, listen, robberies, shootings, and assaults are increasing. This is the community saying, oh my gosh. And then I shared with Chief that we had a individual going to a surf shop, Kowalo Basin, with a finger gun to rob the place. And thank goodness the clerk was very effective. Finger gun under a handkerchief. What the heck? And by the way, he got caught, so thank you, HPD. But what in the world? Thoughts?
My opinion on that, Rick, is in order to address that, it shouldn't be safe and sound Waikiki. It should be safe and sound Oahu.
Absolutely.
What's good for Waikiki is good for everybody else on the island and the communities that they live in. Let's just not single out Waikiki. We understand that that's the tourist hub. It's the pot where the state gets its income. But let's not forget the residents and other communities that live here. So it shouldn't just be safe and sound Waikiki. It should be safe and sound Oahu.
Reactions, are there experiences on the street, more weaponry being used? In other words, robberies, etc., ramping up. We have smash and grabs that are more regularly reported now. And these are just the cases we know about. Steve, how about you?
Well, I haven't been on the streets for a couple months, but I think I shared, Rick, with you and your listeners that before I was kind of put inside, so to speak, those kind of things were happening, and we can't ignore that. We're doing a disservice to ourselves and the community if we want to pretend that violent crime is not on the uptick. It is. So we come together as a community. There's a lot of talented people within the Honolulu Police Department. We have a lot of talent in the specialized units. We just have to put resources in certain key places to try to curb this. And then, of course, as Mark always alludes to, the police make the arrest because they're probable cause, but then it's up to the criminal justice system and the wheels of justice when they get turning. But
right.
Honolulu, because we're talking about that, is still a safe big city, but is violent crime increasing? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And Bobby, I appreciate you for saying that. I mean, it's not just safe Waikiki. I realize that probably because of manpower and resources, and I don't know if they're allocating special prosecutors in the prosecutor's office to deal with crimes that are coming out of Waikiki or however that's working. But before you got me into this discussion, I'm still trying to process. And did I hear you correctly? Because we were off island for a couple of days. Somebody tried to rob a surf shop with a finger gun, meaning somebody pretended that they had a gun under a handkerchief and was using their fingers. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Yeah, that's where we are.
Okay.
I want to make sure I get this in real quick. Mark, I'll turn it over to you. Thoughts?
Oh, go ahead with
Okay.
your talk, because
Just-
mine might be a little longer.
It's tedious to hear that when an officer is alleged to have committed a crime, that you will hear that top, left, right, bottom, upside, and down. I want to cite and mention that no charges have been filed against the HPD officer in the shooting at Kalailoa. And so that is off the table and has no charges filed. I want to make sure that the public knows that for sure. Mark, yet?
Yeah, so alluding back, talking about crime going up, blah, 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 right? So it was last week when I was away, I brought up one of the apps, and this is 1 week now, okay? Top crimes reported on Oahu in 1 week. Larceny, 216. Vandalism, 108. Vehicle break-ins or thefts, 54. Assaults, 57. Burglaries, 42. Motor vehicles theft, 65. Fraud, 22. Drugs, alcohol, 14. Sex crimes, 16. Okay, robbery, DUI, and disturbing the peace weapons are less than 15, right? Everybody got to sit back and think. This is almost 600 crimes. There's victims to every single one of them.
Yep.
You got to charge them. I guarantee you the prosecutor didn't charge at least 50% of them. At least. All right? So that's why you're getting people going there with finger guns, because ain't nothing's going to happen to them. You got to hammer these people. Put them in jail. You'll see crime go down. Okay?
Want to thank Brother Bobby, Brother Steve, Brother Mark. Steve Keogh, how do we connect with Showpo Online?
Rick, sure. Thanks for that question. Your listeners can go to shopohawaii.org. from our platform there, you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And there we go. Bobby, thanks so very much, brother.
Thank you, Rick. Have a great weekend.
Brother Steve, see you soon.
Rick, thank you. Always happy and grateful to be here with you and the listeners in The Voice. Thanks, Rick.
Much appreciated. And Brother Mark.
Hey, Rick. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday indeed. Thanks so very much, fellas. We'll